Thank you for joining us with the Create, Engage, Succeed show with my co-host,
Amadeus,
and our special guest,
Dana LaRieal Morales,
who is just amazing. I met Dana online well over a year ago, and we have, connected via social media. I was a guest on her podcast. It came up in my memories. I'm like, Dana, you got to come and talk on Create, Engage, Succeed. I really thought that she'd be a great guest for Amadeus and I because she understands the world of side hustles and co-businesses.
Yes, that's kind of my special sauce there, from a standpoint of the type of coach I am, is really the fact that I understand what side hustlers go through because I do it on a daily basis and don't have any intention of ending that anytime soon. I understand the importance of your process and workflows. So I am still a certified project manager for a corporate law firm here in Nashville. And I also have my business on the side, which is the Happiness Bucket, where I help side hustling entrepreneurs plus solopreneurs to help them create process within both their front and their back office and really their entire life as well. Because what we find as solopreneurs is that a lot of our life impacts our business and vice versa. And so being able to really look at things in a holistic fashion and develop our processes based on that is really important.
Day life, a project manager, and then in her side hustle, she helps entrepreneurs and small businesses get themselves organized and on track. And that is something that I think we all need. I know that Amadeus and I are getting to the point where it's time to pretty soon reach out for some professional help. Not on a relationship basis, but in terms yes, we need some professional
help. Have to clarify.
That's a different conversation. We're not having that on Facebook. But as our business is growing, and last year, as so many entrepreneurs and side hustlers experienced, business went in all kinds of weird directions. Some people thrive. Some people are like, how am I going to make it? Now that lockdowns are easing up in many parts of the world, people are going, you know what? I'm tired of being in the house for the last year plus. I want to spend some money. I want to do something, or I want to start a side hustle.
Right.
Because my income was tapped out last year when I lost my job, was laid off, whatever. We often jump into it. And there's a point to this story, but we often jump into things without thinking about everything on the back end. And I know that Amadeus and I had the best of intentions when we started our business, and we're like, we're going to write SOPs and we're going to write procedures and and now it's 4 years into the business. And we're like, gosh, we should have written those SOPs. We should have made those procedures. So Dana, first of all, are we normal for having this sort of experience? Don't speak to our personalities, just our business here.
You are normal. I mean, this is something that happens on a regular basis because we are really focused on the craft, right? Your craft is not necessarily writing SOPs and doing all this stuff in the back of what I like to call the back office of your business. Okay. You are focused on creating training materials and helping people in that world. And so that is your ball of wax, right? And so when it comes time, dealing with taxes and dealing with accounting and dealing with schedules and all of those pieces, it is a lot if you don't have a true process or a true plan behind it that works for you. I think that's the key, right? Is understanding that just because Susie Jane over here has this 10-step process that she is in love with does not mean that 10-step process is going to work for your lifestyle.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
Yeah. So you are not alone.
That's good to know, because sometimes, and that's the other part of it is like whether it's a full-time small business or it's a business that you're doing alongside another business, you often feel alone because you're so deep into what you're doing.
Yeah. And I find that people have this mentality of perfectionism or not wanting to, they assume that because your back office is a mess, let's just be real here. Like, I'm just real. Your back office is a mess and internally you are thinking, oh gosh, that really is an impact, that really speaks to my abilities in this realm of my business. Like, I'm not a successful business person because my back office is a mess. I know a ton of people look, in my full-time job, I wouldn't have a job if people weren't a mess. I mean, like, it is just a known issue. And it is something that every size company deals with this. It's just the idea or the understanding that you need to fix it, like not leaving it there to continue to be a mess, but understanding that it takes time. There's process around it, and making sure that you have the right people or person or sources, right? Because you can DIY it as well. It just may take you longer, but that you can do it. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
So on that note, and part of the reason I think, and this might just be an excuse, who knows, but as we first started the business, we really didn't know who our customer was, what our focus was. We were just grabbing jobs to make money. And I'll be totally honest. I mean, Amadeus and I laughed. It's like, wow, we've come a long way from writing coffee cup slogans for mugs on Upwork. And, now we've got corporate clients and we're really but it would have been really hard to set up systems at the beginning.
Ding. Yes. Yes.
Because we just didn't know. It was like, oh, that's our job at Upwork. Let me just go apply for it. Versus now it's like, oh, we have actual clients we have actual processes. So now we're getting to that point of now we need to systematize it and write something down.
Yeah. And really, I'm glad you spoke to that, because first of all, you are not alone. I think every business owner goes through this. It doesn't matter how great you are at what you do. Everybody goes through that period of time. Specifically, I'm going to focus on small businesses. We go through this period of time where we're like, oh, I want to serve this person. And we get in there and it's not quite what we thought it was going to be, right? Or our service group is way too large. And so as we are in it longer and longer, we begin to niche down. I did it myself, right? And so once you kind of figure out what your little niche is, and it doesn't have to just be one either, but starting and focusing on one. And once you get that one down pat, then coming to the next and then coming to the next, it builds over time. But you hit the nail on the head. Your processes change or have to be adaptable based on who you're serving. Yes. And so, my target, I have 3, right? So my brand newbies who are new to business, don't really understand who their target, those people, I don't have the same processes for them that I have for my one-on-one clients that have multiple employees, right? That looks completely different. There are some similarities, but it looks different because they're in a different place.
Oh, that's so good to hear, because and I think a lot of times, and Amadeus, feel free to jump in on this too. We don't know as entrepreneurs what we need. First of all, when we're first getting started, or we think, oh, I can just do it myself. I don't have the money, or it's going to cost too much, or I don't want to embarrass myself because I either don't want, let's say I chose to work with you. I don't want Dana, like you mentioned earlier, to think we don't know what we're doing, because we're really good at what we do in terms of building courses.
Right.
Not so much on the back end with emails and follow-ups and invoices and all this other.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say part of that comes in, especially for entrepreneurs who came from, corporate or doing something else. Usually there's already a team of people that are the ones that take care of that. You don't feel like, oh, I need to respond and follow up on everything because I do my work. But then you're like, right, I am also needing to advertise and talk to people.
Exactly. Like in corporate, there are departments, whole departments and teams of people who are doing all this stuff, right? So you never had to worry about that. But then when you go off on your own, and a lot of small business, entrepreneurs come from corporate.
Right.
And so part of that mentality where we talk about the mindset is they come and they think, oh, I'm supposed to have it together. How can I admit that I don't have this piece together? Because I came from corporate, right? But the truth is that we all go through that. There are things that in my business, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me go check out this person over here because I know that that's their skill set, right? And it's just understanding when you have reached your limit and knowing when you need to reach out for help and knowing when you can actually DIY some things, right? Because there are things that are DIY-able. And then there's a limit to the DIY where you're like, I've gone as far as I can go by myself. Now I need to get some assistance, right? And just knowing that line. And so one of the things that I do with my clients, and this happens with both my one-on-one and my on-demand clients, is I really want to service you where you are, but help you plan for the future. Right?
I like that.
So you mentioned, as a new business owner, you don't have a lot of money. Hello, I like bootstrapping, which for those listeners who may not know, that's where your business is paying for itself. It is the profits you make go back into your business, and it just continues to grow and grow and grow. And so you're not going into debt. You're not taking from your home bills that you've already got earmarked over here to pay for this over here. And then you're wondering where my next dollar is going to come. And then you're taking on jobs that you shouldn't be taking on because you're just trying to make your bills,
right?
Meet your bills. So from that perspective, when I look at systems, I start with the assumption that you can afford to pay for a tool. And we're going to look at the free tool and the requirements that you have. Now, see, this is where I'm maybe going a little large here, but you should always start with the requirements list, right? You should know what your requirements are. And to your point, a lot of newbies or people who that's not their skill set don't know what the requirements are. So a person like me comes in and helps you develop that requirements list. And based on that requirements list, we then determine what tools make sense for where you are in your business today and where you are looking to get, say, in the next 3 to 5 years.
Oh, that's great. Because and
so then that you're building, right, your processes in this free tool, but you're also keeping your eye on the mark of at what point do I need to be prepared to move to a paid tool?
Oh, I love that, because I see so many folks, especially because you're in the world of Facebook, and I've been guilty of this myself. Here's this shiny new tool. Oh yeah, it does everything. It writes your emails, it sends your emails, it bakes your dinner, it cooks dessert, and it's only $500, limited time offer. Get in on the ground floor. And then you're just like in a moment of weakness, you go click. And then a month later, you're just like, how do I get rid of this? Can I sell it to somebody? It doesn't do what it said it was going to do. That infomercial was just, it didn't make dessert for me like I wanted it to.
It made dessert, but not what I like.
Yeah. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm throwing myself in that bucket, we're guilty of that, whether it's courses, software, whatever. So I love your approach of make your requirements. Like there's certain software that Amadeus and I need to do the job. Right. And some of them come with fairly pricey licenses, but it's a cost of doing business. Right. We can't do what we do if we don't have this. And there is no free version. I believe me, I've looked. So, but let's say that we were to come to you and say, hey, Dana, we really need some help. What would it look like to work with you?
Well, the first question I'm going to ask you is, how are you coming to me? Are you coming to me as a one-on-one person, or are you coming to me for the membership, which is an on-demand service?
Let's say that we're still new and we're not sure if we really want help. We know we need it, but we're not sure we want it. So let's say we're coming on the on-demand.
Okay. So that would be my first thing. Go on demand, because that's a small commitment, price commitment, and you can stop it at any time, right? That gives you first of all, when you come into the membership, it takes you through a questionnaire, which helps me determine what you have and what you don't have in your business currently, right? Because there are some essential things that you should have in your business as a business owner, period, right? Doesn't
like
matter what your industry or what you say.
Said like a website.
Yes. I mean, like there are some things, and I know there are some coaches out there, like, you don't need this, no, I don't subscribe to that. I'm like, listen, no, you need to have these basic things, and they're like a priority level, right? So you're going through, you're filling out that questionnaire, very easy, very simple, no big deal. I take that and I do kind of an analysis for you. I'm doing this on the back end. At the same time, you can go ahead and access the resources. The resources are basically, there are over 18 hubs of content that covers different types of topics.
Nice.
And I kind of let you know, okay, this is where you probably want to start, right? To make sure you have this foundation in place first. And then based on what it is you need or want to do in your business today, here are some routes that you can take. So you can go through email management, or you can go through website development, or you can go through finances, right? So the videos and the content that is there for you are bite-sized pieces, because I believe as a side hustler, we don't have a lot of time.
Right.
It allows you to go through. And so I try to do like a lecture style, what I call mindset briefing, telling you why you need to do this, what the purpose of this is for. And then I take you through action steps so that you can say, okay, there are 10 action steps to getting this. I'm just throwing this out there. This is not the actual factual, but let's say that the website development is a 10-step process, right? So there are 10 steps. Each step will take you through completion. So I can say this is a 30-minute lesson. So schedule 30 minutes on your calendar. If you're a side hustler, you can say, okay, I'm going to do this on Tuesday night. You get that one piece set up, check, that part is done. I know where to go every single day for the next 10 days, and in 10 days, I know it will be done. So it's really breaking down large projects into small bite-sized pieces so that you can get things done, because that's the problem that I see, not only as a project manager, but also as a coach, is that a lot of times we make things too large. And we say website, we got to set the website up. That's the task. And I'm like, that's not your task.
That's your objective. Right? Yeah, that's a project, right. Your objective.
And so you've got to break that down into bite-sized pieces. And the pieces that you break down more than likely need to be broken down some more into small work products, right? And so that is kind of what I've done in the on-demand space, is I've given you kind of that guide so that you can get things done. The other thing in that perspective is, as a member, you have the opportunity, technically, imagine me sitting on your shoulder. And so you're doing something and you run into a problem and you're like, I don't know how to do this. And it could have something to do with a hub, or it could have something to do with your day-to-day operations, right? You send me the question, you post the question, hey, do you know how to do this? Or what should I do? I either say, okay, let's set up a call, what I like to call a hot seat, where we're doing a Zoom call. I'm walking you through it. And you just know, based on being a member and reaching out in that way, that I'm going to record it and it's going to be in the membership now so that it can help somebody else. Or I'm just going to say, okay, no problem. I quickly do a screen share. A screen grab, tell you what to do, put it in the membership. It's available for everybody.
Oh, I love
so that's kind of how the membership you are continuing to get value out of it based on what you need and when you need it. So if it's at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, especially starting out, going back to what you'd said about having those requirements, the commitment to work with somebody one-on-one is usually more of a financial commitment and a time commitment too. And if I'm just starting out and I don't know what I don't know, it sounds like that membership is really the best starting. Not that I'm trying to downsell your services, which is not, but it's like going into this a year ago, if you'd said, hey, I marry you, let's just do one-on-one. I'm like, but I don't know what I want.
Right. And you're not downplaying it at all, because I, first of all, am a side hustler. So of course I lead people, not that I don't want to take, I'll take your money for one-on-one services. And I love working with people one-on-one. So it's not that I don't want to do that, but I can serve more people through the group membership, right? Because I know that the problem that you have, somebody else is going to have that same problem. Right. I can set up a Zoom call and invite 10 people or all of the members in and say, hey, we're going to have a Q&A session today. Everybody come in and ask your questions. If I send that invite out and only one person shows up, guess what? You get a one-on-one session with me for the cost of your monthly membership. So it's like you take advantage of what you can take advantage of within the membership.
Right. And I really like that. And again, just thinking back to the beginning stages, we're just now at 4 years into the business starting to go, okay, now we have a clear idea of what systems do we
Yes.
need? What processes do we need? When I was sending out one invoice a month, I really didn't have to worry about what my accounting stuff looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we're invoicing, 5 figures plus per month to multiple clients, it's like,
Right.
yeah, I got to have a system. I got to know what day I'm going to invoice. I need to know what my follow-up is. It's a very different
Creating a
process.
process. And even you said something, and I was like, I don't know, Mary. Even if you're sending out one invoice a month, or you still have your expenses, you still have your, the stuff, even if your expenses are low, the money coming in, the money going out, like all of that is still a system that needs to be set up so that when tax time comes, you're not pulling the shoebox out.
Yeah.
Trying to pull emails from here and that, like you have it already there ready to go.
Well, and that is another good point, because again, coming from corporate to my own business, I used to side hustle as well, and I would get a 1099 and I'm like, no big deal. I've had enough deducted out of my corporate paycheck
to cover it.
Cover it. And then when you go out on your own, it's like, oh yeah, thank you, $14,000 tax bill. As I told people, it was like, we had a really good year. It's a really good thing that I owe, $14,000 in taxes. The bad news is I owe $14,000 in taxes.
Yes.
And from talking to my accountant, though, part of it was because of the way we had set up our accounting, and all of the invoices came in Q4, which meant I couldn't even prepay self-employment tax because I didn't know what we were going to get. So he's helped me fix that. So if somebody wanted to work with you one-on-one, what would that look like?
So one-on-one service, the first thing I always have set up a discovery call. I do charge. Now, I believe that your time is valuable, right? Regardless of what industry you're in. So I do charge for my discovery calls. However, that charge is actually part of a package if you decide to engage me, right?
Okay.
So you have your discovery call. During your discovery call, first of all, we're making sure that we're a good fit. I'm learning about the concerns that you have, or what is the issue, I'm putting that in quotes, that we need to address. And you mentioned it, that you may not know what that is. Well, we talk about, what do you have in your business? What made you reach out to me?
Okay.
And based on that conversation, I usually can pick up on 2 or 3 different things. I'm like, okay, let's try to tackle with these first, right? And so we pick something and we say, okay, here's what we're kind of talking about. Then once we do that, I can kind of have an idea of what would work well with you from a one-on-one standpoint. So I summarize our session. I send you that summary, so you get that regardless. And then I also say, I think you need this, 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 and this, or you probably are better for the membership. So I let you know whatever that looks like, because everything is customizable. I don't have like a cookie cutter, you're going to pay this, it is very unique to you. And so I develop packages for each individual. So I say, okay, you can do a la carte. This is what it would cost just to pay my hourly fee. Or here are 2 packages based on what you told me that I think would work well for you.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so then I send them that and they decide which one they want. They sign a contract that just says, hey, I promise to pay, right? But I allow them to pay based on the action. So my packages are built on, like, we have a strategy call, we have a report review, and it, of course, depends on your package, but everything is broken down. So every touch point where we have a meeting, that is when you pay for that segment. So it's not a, $400, like my smallest package, I think is about $400, right? So $400, you're not having to pay that all at once. However, if someone wants to, has the ability to, they do get a discount. I do give you a little something for paying ahead, right?
Sure.
But they have the ability to pay as you go or pay at one time. So during, let's say the strategy, let's say that we're doing like a mapping session for you. And what a mapping session is we're going through and we're looking at where are you today from a process standpoint. We usually pick like your intake. Let's use the example of the intake process. So we look at your intake process, we map it out. And more times than not, people are shocked by the amount of what I call leaks or gaps in their process. And that's where I'm seeing where there's a hole, where, and I like to think of it as a pipe. and your money is like water, right? Flowing through this pipe. Well, when you have a gap in your process, it's like having a hole in your pipe. We don't want a hole in our pipe.
That makes sense. Yes.
To flow to us, right? So we basically will map out your process to identify where there are gaps or where there is bloat, where we can streamline your process to make it a little easier and less complicated for not only you, but also your customer, because your customer is number one. It's not just about you as an individual. And so we go through that process and map that out. Well, depending on your package, that either ends there, right? Or I then map out future steps. So I say, okay, here's where the gaps are. Here is where I see where you can go to resolve these gaps. So here's your action plan of how to resolve these gaps.
Nice.
And you'll have the mapping process. A lot of times I do that myself. Like we'll have a conversation, we talk about it, and then I'll finalize it off camera, I take some time to finalize it. And then we will have a review session where I review what I've seen, what I've identified, and what your action steps are. Once you get that report, then we have accountability calls. And those accountability calls are like 15-minute calls where as you're going through and doing your action plans, you may hit a point of stoppage, right? Or 2 weeks may pass by and I may say, you know what, we need to touch base. Where are you? How are you doing? What's going on? And so most packages, you end up with 4 of those.
Okay.
Again, it depends on your package, but roughly 4 of those, which can be combined to make them larger if necessary. And you can add on additional accountability sessions, and sometimes I have clients who they've hit a block. It's a big block. Like they're like, okay, I know I need to do this, but I am stuck. I really need your help. And so we may schedule an hour session where the purpose of that session is just for me to handhold them through getting something done.
Oh, nice.
Right. And so then, that's pretty much how the sessions go. And after you take care of your package, oftentimes people will add on a la carte. Mm-hmm. And I've had some that have just added on another package or say, hey, you helped me with this. Now I'm ready to work on this.
I love it. And it sounds like, again, the prices are very reasonable for that side hustler. Or Amadeus and I, we have 2 legs to the business now. Mm-hmm. We work with a lot of 4 and 5 figure entrepreneurs, so side hustlers, that kind of thing. And it's the same thing with the things that we offer to them, because you don't have, $1 million in revenue. You don't have $700,000 in revenue.
Right.
You may only be making $5,000 a year with your side hustle, but that's what you need. But there's still things that will help you do better. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I'm getting the signal that we've been chatting for 30 minutes already. Amazing how fast it goes. I did want to ask one more question, because I noticed that you have got an event coming up.
I do.
We'll wrap up by letting you tell us about the event.
Oh, that's fabulous. I appreciate you letting me do that. So it is the Solopreneur Business Essentials Workshop. It is a live workshop in the Middle Tennessee area. So if you live in Nashville or any of the surrounding cities, it's going to be in Smyrna, Tennessee. And so it is we only have 20 slots, and I limited that, number one, for social distancing, but also just because it is an interactive, hands-on workshop. So a lot of the things I talked about that are handled in the one-on-one workshop, the one-on-one services, we are going to be doing that live in this workshop. So for the 20 people, we're going to go through and talk about mapping. We're going to talk about the foundations, the essential things you need to have in your business, and kind of depending on the group that is there, if we have a lot of the same types of issues going on in the businesses, then we may walk through like tackling something, right? Or take up 30 minutes and say, okay, you tackle this, but it is going to be interactive. I'm going to be there to answer questions and help everybody through. And it's going to be fun. I like to have a lot of fun. So it's really just that a live, just imagine it as a live group coaching session.
I love it. So 2 important questions.
Yes.
What is the date? And how can somebody get more information?
Awesome. It is July 25th of 2021. Obviously, it's a month away, roughly. a month away. And it'll be from 2:30 to 6:30 and that's a Sunday. And many people are like, why are you having an event on Sunday? And it is because I work mostly with side hustlers. And if you're a solopreneur that's full-time, you are working in your business,
right?
Not on your business during the week. So that's just a good time I find for my clients. And then it is, to get more information, you can go to events.thehappinessbucket.com, or you can go to dana.morales.com, and I will have under the event section a link to the event site as well.
Awesome. I've just put that into the Facebook notes, and I will also add it to the show notes when we post this up on YouTube. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary.
I saw the smiles on Amadeus's face. I think you kind of like ticked the button there with the workshop and some of the coaching that you do.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I mean, I love the community aspects, and just being able to not only know my customer, like I want to be able to say, yeah, I know what Mary does and I know where her needs are. So if I find a tool or a system or something that I know fits for your business and for your particular situation, I can share that with you, if you're a member of the membership, because that really is what it's all about. It's just being able to help you as a business owner grow.
I love it. See, our tech gremlin did appear. Amadeus's light just keeps cutting in and out. Well, Dana, thank you so much for joining us. This has been so much fun, and I really liked learning about the membership site. I know, like I said, just reading Amadeus's facial expressions, you hit a lot of buttons of things that we've been struggling with ourselves. So don't be surprised if you get a call from us in the not too distant future.
I love it. Come on down.
Definitely. So for those of you that are catching this on the replay, we are talking about putting systems in place, especially if you are a side hustler or small business entrepreneur, with the organization and systems queen, Dana, who every time I talk to her, I'm just like, why didn't I know that? So please take a listen. Think about her workshop. If I'm in town, I think it's a place that I want to be. If not, I will probably be sending somebody from my team. So I appreciate the opportunities and have a fabulous week. Thanks again.
You too. And definitely have any questions, reach out. I'm on Facebook, and I'll comment in the live. I'll comment in the notes if people have questions or anything.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure that they know to tag you in their comments. So thanks again. This is Mary and
Amadeus
and
Dana LaRieal Morales
signing off from this episode of the Create, Engage, Succeed show. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.